Так, недолго думаю. В телегу написать. Тан-тан-тан-тан-тан-тан-тан-тан. Так, звук есть, все есть, замечательно. Пам-пам. М-м-м. Блин, если это будут корабли, я буду в восторге. Очень хочу корабли. Дайте мне просто хайдау с кораблями, и все, я счастлив. Я сколько лет его уже жду. Много не надо, как говорится.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson
Привет,
from
Крис.
Grinding Gear Games. Welcome to GGG Live. Today, we're going to show you an exclusive reveal of Path of Exile Settlers of Kalgur, which launches next week on July 26th. Twitch drops are enabled on today's live stream. So
Да,
make sure
дропы у
you
меня
follow
тоже
the
должны быть
instructions
включены,
below
если что.
in order to claim your Corsair
Если играете в
Package.
PoE, то можно
In
плачет
today's
получить.
stream, we will take you on a deep dive into the new Settlers of Kalgur Challenge League.
Так,
We'll cover the league
Лига.
mechanics, its new and revised crafting systems,
Новый
a new trade
крафт.
market system for currency, some sweeping
Новый
balance
трейд.
improvements, including 2 Ascendancy class changes, endgame
Ну-ка.
improvements, some further additions to the campaign, and some quality of life features. We'll then talk about our console native port releases and the features that come alongside them. Finally, we'll show you our
Не,
new support
несомнительно,
packs,
очень
with a live
интересно, не
Q&A
надо.
session, where Ziggy D will ask Path of Exile's game director Mark your questions from Twitch
Ну,
chat.
по счету я смотреть уже не буду, а уже его в стримах погляжу, а вот...
I'll hand over to Mark now to introduce the new league.
Показывай.
We've really innovated with the content in this league, and I'm really excited to see what everyone thinks. So let's just get right into it with the trailer for Path of Exile, Settlers of Kalgur.
Бля, так когда хочется поиграть в PoE, настроение прям есть на эту игру. Может, на неделю уже нет, там. Смотрим.
Rayclast is a cursed land. You'd have to be mad to settle here. And yet, welcome to King's March. It's not
Ферма!
yet, but with your help, we can erect the greatest city Rayclast
Мы
has
ждали
ever
лодка, мы
seen.
делаем веселую ферму.
We'll need resources and savvy planning.
Бля. Реально ферма.
Soon we'll attract settlers, craftsmen, fortune seekers, and of course, pirates.
Так, набираты есть. Новые боссы.
But if we prevail, our ships will be
Что?
heavy with gold.
Корабли есть, но мы на них плавать не будем.
The impossible.
Ёб твою
We hope to
мать.
build a home.
Бля. Респекаться за голду. Ну это же чисто... О! Реворк Лада! Пухчамп. Рыболов милишников мы дождались! Господи Иисусе! Да ладно! Бля, это все пересматривать сейчас будем потом, медленно. Мурашечки. Давайте, рассказывайте.
In Path of Exile, Settlers of Kalgur, you will encounter some familiar faces from the Expedition League. Danig, Rog, Tujin, and Gwenin
Старые
are
знакомые
Kalguran people
экспедиции.
who are trying to establish trade between Rayclast and their homeland. They have recruited many curious characters from Rayclast, including some you may recognize, but are also seeking help of a powerful exile, like yourself.
Вылез из норы.
You will first encounter Johan, the
Бля.
King's Hand and Lionized Watch. He's there recruiting workers, traders, and
Посланник
exiles.
короля.
Johan, under the command of the King of Kalgur, has been sent here to build a new city called King's March. which intends to become the hub of commerce between Rayclast and Kalgur. Soon, he will bring you to the planned site for King's March. which you'll
Выглядит,
notice
конечно,
has
так
humble
себе, мягко
beginnings as
говоря.
just a tavern in a field. But with your help, it won't stay like this for long.
Ну это реально ферма.
It takes
Только
a lot
больше,
to
чем
build a town.
ферма.
The Kalgurans will ask you to seek out resources that can be used to begin construction. On your adventures, you might find minerals such as crimson iron, which are veins of iron that have been overrun with corruption, spawning dangerous
Голда?
foes when you approach.
Блин, они постепенно вводят голду, как раз которая в
Or
PoE 2
perhaps
должна
Auric
появиться,
Alchemy,
видимо, таким
which you'll
образом
have to
показывают и
liberate from the
тестят.
demons worshipping
Прикольно.
it. Petrified amber attracts mindless, blighted enemies.
Бля, прикольно. Каждый
While
ресурс
Blizzard
с
has a strong
уникальными
affinity to the
врагами.
elements and causes the area to become unstable.
Прикольно.
If you're
Нравится.
lucky, you might find Verisium, a material as valuable as it is dangerous, and guarded by very powerful foes. Once you defeat these monsters, the deposit will
А что
automatically
не
be
показываете
tagged for
новых
mining.
монстров?
But first, we
Какие-то
need to get
интересные,
someone
видимо,
to do the
самый
hard
редкий
labor.
материал.
This is, of course, a trade expedition, and nothing is free. Miners, along with other workers that the Kalgurans have hired, must be paid in cold, hard gold, which you'll notice is now dropping throughout.
Хорошо,
Rayclast.
поднимается сама,
You
спасибо.
will have
И отдельно
control
не
about who
стакается,
gets hired
ура!
into your enterprise.
Хорошо.
Once you have accumulated some gold, head to the town and talk to the recruiter, Ralph.
Это что, Марш
He's been
Симпсон?
busy tracking down hardy folk across Rayclast who are looking for work. You'll notice each person has their specialties and a wage cost.
Еще и,
It'll
блин,
be up to you
зарплаты
to
платить
hire
нужно.
and fire as you please. Over the course of the league, you'll be searching for your perfect employees for each job.
Еще и находить нужно
Once you have them, you
работников.
have to keep them
Привет,
paid,
Синг, спасибо
safe,
большое.
and
У меня коротенький, я уже за сегодня поиграл. Мы смотрим анонс
here
Лиги
we
в
have a
PoE.
prospect who has a specialty in mining. We'll start with that so we can begin to retrieve some of those resources we were talking about earlier.
Ага,
Find
мы
some
наняли
more,
майнера.
put our miner to use.
Окей, и чё?
Oh, we've found a vein of aurichalcum ore. It's guarded by dangerous demons
Так,
working
заюзали
in
как
strange
алтарь, зачистили
shrines.
его.
The shrine
Дырка
guards
с
the
мобами.
demons, giving them power. But once you defeat them, you can seize that power for yourself.
Хорошо, дырку с мобами
After that,
победили.
we can tag the ore, and our mining specialist will get to work.
И теперь мы можем вызвать, собственно, нашего
Soon,
моба, которого мы
we'll encounter
наняли.
a few more deposits, each with a different dangerous encounter. After you have tagged the mineral veins, your miners will get to work collecting resources in real time. They might take a while. but will continue
Серьезно?
whether you're logged in or not.
По тайму!
The work will be
Ой,
sped up by hiring
какая
more or better
боль!
miners, and by upgrading the mining station
Они
back in
реально...
King's March to equip them
Ты
with
что?
advanced pickaxes.
В PoE теперь тоже гачи
Some
механики.
time has passed and our miners have been able to get the resources back to town. We've also managed to collect some more gold too. We can now upgrade the town and build new structures. There's plenty of options. We just need to decide where to start. I think we'll start with the tavern, the beating heart of King's March. It can be upgraded instantly to improve the recruiter's prospects. And you can find various
Population.
important NPCs relaxing here. Next, we'll upgrade our mining station. You
Максимум
can upgrade this
майнер.
to improve the efficiency of your miners and allocate our newly hired workers to mining. You will eventually need a smelter, where you can send your ore to turn into more valuable bars. Then we have the
Переплавщик.
disenchanter, where you can bring your magic, rare, or unique items to be added to a queue to be disenchanted over time.
А что значит за дизенчантин? Что это делает?
The items will be broken down into thaumaturgic dust, a new resource used for crafting and shipping. We'll get more
Разбираешь
into
и
that later.
получаешь новый ресурс, который для чего-то там
And of
используется.
course, a town needs food. You could invest in farming, where you can select crops to grow and harvest.
И реально
Don't
ферма.
worry, you won't be manually watering anything. The wonders of delegation.
Ну,
With
поливать
all
хотя бы
these
свой
resources
огород не
piling
нужно,
up,
на то
there will be
спасибо.
excess that we can spend.
Бля.
Let's talk about rewards in Settlers of Kalgur.
Вот реально Settlers.
Eventually, you can build a harbor and establish shipping routes between a number of different Kalgur.
Ну, корабль мы можем построить, плавать на нем, к сожалению, не можем. Отстой.
You'll be able to pile your acquired resources onto these ships and send them to a port of your choosing, where your traders will haggle for the best deals. Each port will return specific rewards based on what you send them. They accept all types of resources, but will have a preferred type that they'll currently pay more for. And you'll want to get onto this, because eventually you could be bringing in shipments like this,
Ага.
this,
Угу. Понял. Понял.
or even this.
Это ноль уники, что ли? Ядрить. Это take all, это все он
Today,
привозит.
we're going to trade with Kalgur.
Охуеть. Сколько квадкладок надо покупать на это?
This risk meter creeps up. Much like the dangers on the shores of Wrecklast, there are dangers out at sea. Monsters, pirates, environmental hazards. You'll want to try keep your shipments safe. You can do this by hiring workers that specialize in shipping. The more of them you add to the ship, the less risk there will be.
Чё, блин, охрану корабля
Like this
нанимать?
gentleman, who's famous for fending off even the most dangerous of
4,5
pirates.
часа.
Now let's get that shipment going. And
Господи.
we'll continue exploring Wrecklast while we wait for its return. This is the first Path of Exile League that experiments with true, real-time mechanics. You can send out shipments, go and have lunch.
Блин, на самом деле в какой-то степени интересно. Типа отправил, пошел, что-то там поделал,
So you'll
условно.
always have some ongoing project or outcome to look forward to.
Блин, на самом деле
When
интересно.
your
Насколько это
shipment has
будет
returned
прикольно, не
or met
ясно.
its demise, you'll get notified, and at your leisure you can return to the town to collect your rewards. Our shipment returned safely, so let's go see what we got.
Блин, прикольно.
Ooh,
Какой-то
they've sent us a
пососный
unique
корабль,
item
и все равно...
alongside our rewards.
Ладно.
Perhaps hoping to secure us as a loyal customer for the future.
Помойка, конечно. Два
Aside from
си.
shipping, the Kalgurans are big on their technology. They have hired Isla, a familiar face from the Heist League. She is an engineer who the Kalgurans have employed for a very exciting purpose. You're not the only one who understands how profitable running maps can be. Once at endgame, Isla can help you build a series of Kalguran modified map
Так.
devices. You can then put a queue of maps into
Можно кормить мапки!
If you've hired a few
Да
skilled
ладно!
Atlas runners, they will put
И
themselves to
нанимать
work running
мобов,
those
которые
maps for you
бегают
one after
мапы.
another. Look, more delegation. Once again, you'll be notified when the rewards are ready to be collected. You can
Вау.
put lots of maps in the queue, so don't feel obliged to go back there all the time. Be
А их
careful,
точить есть
though. The
смысл?
difficulty of the map impacts the risk of your workers perishing.
Перманентли killed. То есть, может,
Try
могут
to pick your
сдохнуть
best
работники.
workers, or perhaps just ones you don't like. Consider the difficulty too. Sometimes it's better to just run it yourself.
То есть
You'll
они
see
помоечные
there are many
мапы
benefits
смогут
to having a
бегать.
whole ass town at your fingertips. Let's talk about crafting services.
Ой,
You should
крафт
definitely
еще,
consider building
господи.
a runesmithing table. This is operated by Danig himself, using powerful Kalguran blacksmithing arts. He can engrave runic magic onto your weapons using runes. There are many rune types and combinations to choose from, and you can unlock new crafts that can be applied to your weapons as enchantments. Our design
и как это
intention here is to
работает?
take powerful effects you would usually only
Ага.
find on unique items, like this modifier, which you might
Серьезно?
recognize from Doom Fletcher's Prism. Danig can apply it to your two-hand
О,
There are over 100
что?
different special crafting outcomes.
Это же
ranging from ones
такой
very easily applied
полом!
to very difficult. The rune types can be acquired through trade with
Wow.
Kalgur, or defeating powerful bosses. The Kalguran tech benefits don't end there. We're also bringing back a formerly overpowered crowd favorite, Recombination. Isla
А,
is
вот это
trying to
классно.
master this. She just needs you to help her with getting resources. The system isn't as strong as it used to be, but it still
Жаль.
allows you to combine two items together, hoping to get the best modifiers of each onto a single item.
Ну и хуйня.
Between running a town,
Я имею в виду,
shipping,
предмет
and exploring,
получился.
you'll be collecting a lot of extra gold. It is now the primary resource for two huge new quality of life features that we are putting to test.
Так.
Firstly, you can use gold to respec passive points.
Так,
This is a
ну,
feature from Path of Exile 2 that we've decided just makes sense to port back. The higher
Respect
level
за
you are,
голду,
the more
мгм.
expensive it gets. And the next one is absolutely massive. A currency trade market. The Kalgurans have recruited Faustus, another NPC from the Heist League. He allows you to asynchronously buy and sell currency and most other stackable items with other players without the nuisance of
Аукцион!
prices and people who never respond.
Да
All you
ладно!
need to do is select what currency you want,
Они
say
это
what you have,
сделали!
and your ideal ratio. It works
Они
kinda like
это
a real-life stock market.
сделали! Да
Faustus will make the trade happen
ладно!
for you, so long as there is someone selling on the other end for the same rate or less.
No fucking
You'll be able to
way!
go back to blasting monsters while trusty Faustus does the dirty work, notifying you when your currency
Yes?
is ready for collection. All you need to do is pay him a small amount of gold for his time.
Аукцион, Карл!
Cards on the table, this is an experiment to see if this type of asynchronous trading has a place in future Path of Exile releases. We're very
Yes.
excited to see how it goes. Now, given that Faustus is an expert in black market trade and shady deals, he also provides another service, offering items for gold. The items will generate with random rarity, and on average the modifiers on them are better than normal.
Ну, это типа
This can be a
понятно.
very nice way to get some targeted items during the campaign.
Еще всякое говнище, в
For
общем.
serious crafters, it can be a great starting point for making those elusive, specific in-game items, which perhaps you could take to the runesmith afterwards. It's worth noting that you can invite Faustus to your hideout.
О,
but he will
Faustus, да, в
always be
Хадохао,
available for
круто.
respecking, currency exchange, and black market items. As your
Похчамп.
town grows, it will attract more attention, good and bad.
Да,
Settlers of Kalgur features 3 endgame bosses that will close in on your operations.
3 новых
wanting
босса,
a piece of
окей.
the pie. They might capture and ransom your workers, even your entire ships.
Офигеть.
You'll have to make
Похищать
some tough
будут.
decisions. Will you take them on or pay them off?
А купиться
One
можно.
example of a boss is Sasan, the bandit lord.
Сасан.
You won't stumble across this boss by accident. Instead, this unsavory character can come into your town at night and take your Atlas runners hostage, holding them for ransom. What happens next is up to you. Perhaps you'll refuse to negotiate with bandits, leading to a fight to defeat Sasan and rescue your workers. If you're not up for the heroics, you might simply pay the ransom in gold. Or
Откупаться.
perhaps these workers were especially disappointing, and you'll just leave them for dead in true Ray class fashion. They knew what they were signing up for, right?
Какая жесть.
Of course, the heroics might be worth it for other reasons. These bosses can drop new unique items. In sum, Settlers of Kalgur is a very
Туси.
experimental league with new mechanics that will completely
Какая
change how you
жесть.
play the core game. We've been sitting on a lot of these ideas for a while and can't wait to share them with you.
Но они просто
But there's a
навалили.
lot more to this expansion.
Жесть.
Let's talk about balance.
Меня очень зашли с
We
милишниками
finally
сделали.
rebalanced the gladiator. It's been a long time coming.
Настало время.
Like before, there are
Bleeding
passive
girls
skills that allow you to
once.
invest in bleeding and block.
Ну да.
Designed new skills replacing some of the old ones. Like this, War of Attrition, which is very handy for long sustained boss fights. Further alongside the gladiator theme, this new passive allows you to combine different weapon types while
Aria,
dual wielding
crit,
to get a
leech.
variety of powerful bonuses. For example, holding a dagger will give you more critical strike chance, while holding a mace gives you more area of effect. Of course, you could just use Varanastra for all weapon type bonuses. And finally, we have a new notable which allows you to invest in the newly added Retaliation skills. These are active skills which require you to meet a certain condition in order to use them.
Ну
Once you
и...
meet that condition, you
Странно.
can unleash devastation on your foes.
Это
Here we
очень
have
странно.
Eviscerate, which requires you to
Wow.
have a shield. Or for those who like to dual wield, Sword Storm, which is great
Eviscerate
for
выглядит
obliterating
охрененно.
bosses. Here we have the Divine Retribution skill. This one has the condition requiring you to block. You can then unleash a devastating spell.
Я
causing
могу, что это будет
to
метовый
strike the
билд
ground in an X-shape around
через
your
блок.
target location,
Это
doing
прям выглядит
huge
очень
amounts of
сильно.
damage.
Это выглядит очень сильно.
And of course, in true Path of Exile fashion, there are many avenues to invest in these mechanics further on the passive tree and a new support gem.
Блин, это
You're
лишь
able to
могут быть
increase
очень
the leeway
интересно.
duration after meeting the condition, reduce the cooldowns, or just increase their damage.
Это, скорее всего, там найдут метовые билды, но не сразу.
The Gladiator wasn't the only Ascendancy class we've changed. As we develop Path of Exile systems, we often find ourselves reusing mechanics, increasing their depth, and allowing more avenues to invest into them. As such, the Raider Ascendancy class found itself lacking, with many of its passives commonly available elsewhere. We want our Ascendancy classes to
Переделывать
always feel
рейдерку.
like they're pushing the boundaries, allowing you to change your character in ways that are meaningful and ideally unique.
Блин, рейдерка может быть потенциально очень страшными.
Rest in peace. And
Серьезно.
we've added a new class in its place, the Warden. This
Так.
class is largely inspired by its predecessor from the Affliction League, with a few changes.
Показывайте.
The Warden now focuses on elemental attacks, changing the behavior of Shock, enhancing Freeze, and replacing Ignite with Scorch. There's also a skill that allows you to go ballistic with your elemental
Unbound
damage
Avatar.
periodically. The class also grants Barkskin, which is a skill that can be used to mitigate physical damage from hits.
Барскин прям
After
помойка,
taking a
я
number of
помню.
hits, it increases your evasion, making it a great defensive choice.
Ну такое. Ладно, посмотрим, как
Finally,
будет
the
работать.
last thing the Warden can specialize in is tinctures. These are an alternative to flasks from the Affliction League. We're bringing them back with adjusted mechanics. Tinctures can be placed in your belt, replacing flasks. You can
Так.
inherently only have one tincture active at a time, and it requires a melee weapon to use. While activated, they grant a powerful buff. They can drop as magic items, or be modified with currency to grant extra bonuses.
Короче, особые фласки чисто для
Here
милишников.
is a prismatic tincture.
Нормально,
This one
100%
increases
increase melee
elemental damage
damage.
by 100% while active.
Найс.
You'll notice it has two extra effects. One is that it applies mana burn every second. Mana burn is a debuff that builds up while tinctures are active that causes you to lose mana, losing more mana for each stack. Tinctures also have a cooldown, so once you have disabled one, no other tincture can be enabled for a time.
То есть
These
их
changes make
митигейтить надо
tincture use a
как-то.
more active and interesting choice than it was in
То есть это,
Affliction.
грубо говоря, прожим
Both the
бурста
mana burn
будет
and the
какой-то.
cooldown can be modified through modifiers on the tinctures or on the passive skill tree. Players will want to maximize their tincture uptime for sure.
Ну да, митигейтишь
Here we have a
их и
couple
так
other
далее.
tinctures. The Poisonberry tincture is excellent for poison builds. The Rosethorn tincture is the choice for those wanting to deal critical strikes.
Офигеть, просто 100% increase крита.
You might be wondering, with the removal of the Raider, where has the Frenzy Charge investment gone? We've added a Frenzy Charge passive skill to the Deadeye, replacing the Rupture passive skill.
Ой-ой-ой.
On top of Ascendancy classes, we have revisited a number of core mechanics. This time taking pains to ensure easy access through the passive tree, skill gems, and simple items. We don't want all the powerful mechanics to be hidden behind layers of complexity. Let's just rapid fire through the key
Да,
points.
да, да.
If you want more detail later, you can read the patch
Совсем не
notes, which will be
комплексные.
dropped after the live stream.
Слои, блин.
Be sure to let us know what you think. There's a lot of changes, so be prepared for a bit of a shock to the system. I expect it will take several days for the dust to settle on this one.
Какая
Firstly,
жесть.
we've made some drastic alterations to melee skills. Let me
Милишники.
just rip this band-aid
Баф
off.
милишников.
Melee totem skill gems have been removed.
Они убрали милишные тотемы.
We're trying to adopt
Ура!
a philosophy with
Я
melee going
счастлив!
forward that,
Слава
unlike other
богу!
builds, it will be far
Я
less
реально
oriented around
счастлив.
set and forget gameplay. You will deal the damage yourself, and you should be rewarded for doing so.
Да, спасибо. Дайте поиграть в
We have
милишника.
buffed the damage on almost every single melee skill.
Хочу
As the
милишника.
majority of this damage growth comes from gem levels, we have also made them cost more mana as they level, but it's nothing like the mana costs on spells. Here are some examples of the damage and costs before and after.
Показывайте.
Heavy Strike has gone from dealing 313% attack damage at gem level 20 to a massive 552%
Серьезно,
attack
почти
damage.
в 2 раза.
It's also worth noting
Кому нахер
it no
нужен
longer
Heavy
knocks
Strike,
enemies
конечно?
back.
Да ладно.
And Sweep has gone from dealing 281% attack damage to now dealing 664% attack damage at gem level 20. These are just two examples. but the majority of melee skills are now dealing approximately 75% more damage at level 20. Of course, with melee comes close proximity combat, so you need some good defensive options. New base types with higher defensive values will now drop throughout the endgame. As you reach yellow, red, and purple maps, you can expect to find higher tier base types in each.
70 что?
For example, Val Regalia and Hubris Circlet are no longer the best in slot items for Energy Shield. There are new base types that surpass them. Combined with some quality changes, which we'll talk about soon, you can now get better items than ever before in these slots.
Пипец.
To compensate, we have reduced the amount of flat evasion and armor from the Grace and Determination auras.
Это ужас.
But
Я не
overall,
представляю,
you're
какую
getting
работу
more
придется
defenses than
делать
before.
лут-фильтру, чтобы... О,
On top of this, we have buff life modifiers on magic and rare equipment. You can now
Сколько?
get as high as 189 additional maximum life from a single modifier on body armors, and more on other slots too.
Что?
Calm's heart has also
Wow.
finally been restored to its former glory, and once again grants plus
Wow.
1000 to maximum life. I mentioned quality. Quality on weapons and armors is being changed to apply multiplicatively. In other words, weapons with full quality will give 20% more physical damage, and armor
Офигеть,
with full
заточка
quality will
тебе
have
дает
20%
more.
more local defenses.
Это
For
очень
melee, this will
много.
mean a damage increase for almost all builds using physical damage attacks. And it will mean more evasion, armor, energy shield, and ward for all builds.
Страшно.
Endurance charges no longer grant elemental resistances,
Так,
but instead
но...
grant additional elemental damage reduction, making it multiplicative with resistances. You can now get 4% per charge,
Так.
alongside the existing 4% physical damage reduction. To
Мгм.
compensate, we have made some changes to the Juggernaut, and various unique items like Eternal Damnation. You can get more maximum resistances from the tree, specifically around the Marauder class start.
Мгм.
These, of course, can stack with the new
Ну,
elemental
это надо
mitigation
крутить,
from
тут нифига
endurance
не понятно,
charges.
честно говоря, как это индюрки повлияет. Даже любопытно.
On top of this, Jules can now roll maximum elemental resistances as
А,
modifiers.
да.
Since we're making elemental mitigation more accessible, we've heavily reduced accessibility to physical damage taken as chaos or elemental damage.
Мгм, они изменяют
Those stats
механику,
are
я
still
понял.
around, but you should not expect to be getting full conversion anymore.
Я понял, конверсию просто в другой элемент
All
нельзя теперь
block
сделать,
passives have been
логично.
buffed, so you can now more easily achieve block cap from just the passive tree.
Опа, а вот это интересно. Щитом
Keystone,
точно хочется
versatile
поиграть.
combatant, has been improved to have less of a penalty to maximum block. A number of life leech passives have been buffed to generally allow for more acquisition of maximum leech rate for life. Val Pact has
Безумие
been
какое-то.
reinstated to its former glory for instant life leech, but only for melee. We've reworked Flesh and Stone.
Серьезно?
Previously, this buff skill granted Maim and Blind, depending on the stance of our character. Now, while in Sand stance, the skill simply provides damage mitigation, becoming more effective the closer you are to enemies. While in Blood stance, enemies will take more physical
Less
damage
and
the
more.
closer you are to
Офиг.
them.
Flash and Stone
This
must
skill
have для
will now
миличника,
greatly favor
понятно.
melee or close range gameplay. Given we're doing a Kalgurin League, Ward has also received a bit of attention. There are new uniques that grant Ward, and the base restoration of Ward is now faster. To compensate, Olroth's Resolve has been nerfed. But
Кому
Ward
вард
builds
нужен?
will still be possible.
Да кому варды нужны? Кто играл
Anyway,
вообще вард
that was
билдами?
most of the
Неважно
purely
вообще.
defensive changes. Now let's look at some of the offensive and utility-based ones. There are more and better ways to deal with mana as an attacker on the southern hemisphere of the passive tree.
О, больше мана лича. Больше
Wands,
резервейшна.
daggers, scepters, claws, and staves now have higher critical strike chance values than ever. Wands can go as high as 10% without modifiers.
10% хрита.
Sandstone Visage has been made rarer to compensate, instead of reducing its power.
База
For
очень
you
сильно
wand
значение
attackers, wands
поднимает.
now have higher attack speed than ever to compensate for their low damage. Wand exclusive skills such as Power Siphon, Kinetic Bolt, and Kinetic Blast now have faster attack times.
Ну, непонятно, ванды
Impale
считать надо
passives have been
опять-таки.
revised and in general buffed. The buffs granted by Warcries are now simpler, but more significant, and more universal to build.
Блин, да, крики
They
идут в жопу,
also now
никогда
apply to
было
allies by
неинтересно.
default. Banners have been reworked. Instead of having a reservation cost, they are now free. However, they don't grant a permanent buff.
А, баннеры теперь только ставят. Я понял. Баннер теперь прожимная способность, а не пассивка. Блин, ну это круто на самом деле, опять-таки. Понятно, еще баннеров добафывают.
Rage has been made more fundamental and discoverable. Rage is now multiplicative attack damage.
Серьезно.
No longer inherently grants attack speed or movement speed.
Ну, это было главное, но... Но то, что у тебя есть кластеры на рейдж. Вау. Ну, в принципе, да, учитывая, что его все стакали и так далее. Да в смысле берзерка занерфили? Алло!
All bleeds on the enemy will deal damage as if the enemy is moving for the remainder of their duration. The skill Ensnaring Arrow no longer interacts with bleed, so no more will you have to apply bleeds and swap to a bow. You can now achieve the same result using
Вот это атак спид, блин.
the annoyance. Rupture from the Deadeye has been turned into a support gem. We've added the new overexertion support gem.
Пока как будто риблиды, если честно. Я бы с Леймером каким-нибудь, может, попробовал поиграть, но хз.
In the Settlers of Kalgur expansion, we are going to be removing item quantity bonuses from all character items. This will not affect existing items in standard leagues. Magic Find is intended to be another axis on your gear you can scale once you have achieved the power you want. With item quantity being only available on unique items, this meant if you wanted to get the most out of it, you had to be playing a very specific build. We still want people to be able to invest into Magic Find.
Не хочу Magic Find, чтобы был вообще. А, то они убрали quantity! Сосать мои баферы!
And by a much larger number of builds. What about Ventor's Gamble, you might ask? Here it is. This is one of the biggest balance patches we've ever done. I can't promise that existing builds will all be safe. Even we aren't able to predict all the outcomes here, nor have we even gone
Да
into
ты видишь, сколько тут изменений, Рэй, ты ёбнуться! Что они с игрой делают?
Balance is hard. But the sheer number of new, viable options is exciting, especially for Melee. And we're determined to drag the game in a better direction. Be sure to read the patch notes after this. It's going to be a ruckus.
Пошел
In
липслэм.
324, we overhauled the in-game experience by introducing a new tier of maps and reworking scarabs. We
Это
want
было
to
ужасно,
continue
если
to
честно.
improve these systems
Да,
and
вот ее
introduce
надо
more
явно
exciting
допиливать.
in-game content every league.
Т-17 скраб, это было
325
странно.
is no exception. Let's check out the
Показывайте.
myriad of changes coming in Settlers of Kalgur. First up, we are changing many scarabs.
Ну, понятно,
Won't go
скрабы
into too much
перерабатывать,
detail
это
here
супер
to avoid
логично.
getting lost in the weeds, but here's a few new ones. Be sure to check out the patch notes after this for more detail.
Так, сейчас, секунду, свет включу пока быстро.
We've also added an additional map device slot, which will be unlocked upon completing your first 10-way Maven encounter. This simply allows for more combinations of scarabs and maps, resulting in more difficulty and more rewards. This is on top of the existing additional slot that can be unlocked
Ну,
by completing
понятно,
your
дом
first
слов,
tier
всё такое.
17 map. There are now 6 map device slots in total. You
Экзодия!
might have seen our teaser, where we revealed we'll be adding new special encounters to the in-game. One such encounter is the Nameless Seer, lurking in tier 16.
Он будет
and
просто
17
появляться!
maps.
Это очень круто,
NPC will
Nameless Seer
give you
это
a
супер
selection of unique
прикольно.
items,
Он
and you can pick
прикольный.
one for free. In tier
Круто, что его
16
добавили.
maps, he now has an additional feature, where you can scry a map.
Scry map, и что
This
это?
allows you to swap the divination card drops of the current map with another map on your atlas. Just one caveat.
Можно засунуть фарм карточек в свою карту!
If you want to undo your
Вау!
choice, you can use a scouring orb on either map on your atlas.
Можно теперь, чтобы карточки крутые падают в твои любимые мапки!
Blight has been updated with some Atlas passive skill changes, and double anointed amulets can now drop in Blight Ravaged maps. We've also introduced a new type of oil that can only drop from Blighted and Blight Ravaged maps. Ritual has also been updated. You can now find one new and many reworked base types, new unique items, corpses you can use to raise as specters,
Оферги
and
кастуют.
occasionally a fragment, granting access to the King in the Mist boss fight.
Это значит, что будут эти тринкеты и камни с этого... С короля. О-о-о.
But not that which was taken.
Да в
As it is now
смысле?
that which was taken away.
Сука! Самое главное отобрали.
However, he now drops a different modular jewel that you might recognize from the Necropolis League.
Типа, ну. Ну, ладно. Ладно.
In
Все
Tier
еще
16 and
сильно.
Tier 17 maps, you can now encounter the Wildwood, also from the Affliction League. In case you missed it, the Wildwood is a mysterious forest fraught with danger.
Скажите, что вы таланты Вайлдвуда вернете.
Yearning for freedom.
Пожалуйста, скажите, что вы вернете таланты Вайлдвуда. Я хочу себе сумку!
Promising more danger, but more rewards.
Ну понятно, забав карты это окей.
You
А
may
мастеров
also
нет?
find random sentinels on the ground near the
Нет,
start
скорее
of
всего
your
нет,
maps
видимо только виспы.
from the Sentinel League. They work in a similar way to before. They aren't items, but you can click on them and then they can be activated in that area at any time of your choosing.
Ладно.
Upon activation, they will buff monsters around you, increasing their difficulty and rewards. And here's one for those who like to live dangerously.
Так.
You may occasionally find a reflective mist from the Kalandra League. It has
Каландра.
two outcomes. It could drop a jewelry item with randomly enhanced or inverted modifier values,
Ну окей.
or it can give a reflecting mist item, which can be used on an existing piece of jewelry to perform the same action at a time of your
Это будет
choosing.
дорого, скорее всего. Мгм. Ну, это прикольно, просто
There's
приятные
many other
штуки.
small changes to League content. We're removing the
Симулякром
first 15
можно, собственно
most
говоря,
boring
пофармить.
waves of the simulacrum and rebalancing its rewards to improve the chances of finding unique jewels. We're also adding some of the beasts from Einhar's Memory of Harvest Beasts to the core pool. This includes
Харвест
the
без...
Black
О,
Morgan.
это страшно.
In other news,
Но Black
we've
Morgan это
added a
очень
set of
прикольно,
new
6 лет
chisel
будет.
types, which can be applied to your maps to get different bonuses.
Новые
While the
чизеля.
Cartographer's Chisel still increases item quantity, there are new ones that now increase rarity, pack size,
Вау.
increased chance for currency items,
Вау.
divination cards, and scarabs. It's also worth mentioning that chisels now apply 20% quality per chisel to white maps, 10% to yellow maps, and 5% to red maps and higher. Unique maps still require the full 20 chisels. Also, only one type of chisel can be applied to a map at a time. During 3.24, we made a change to Tier 17 maps that allowed them to be rerolled with Chaos Orbs.
Да, было такое.
We are now expanding the currency types that can be used on them to also include currencies like chisels and Val Orbs.
Валить,
Ultimately,
господи.
the only restriction Tier 17 maps now have is that explicit modifiers cannot be removed from them. We have also revised the difficulty of these maps.
Скажи,
as
что вы
they
сделали
didn't
их
quite hit the
легче.
mark. The monsters in them now have substantially less life
Спасибо.
and deal less damage, meaning Tier 17 maps now better fit into the progression between Pinnacle and Uber Pinnacle.
Ну вот
content.
да, они должны были быть переходными, а не
Lastly,
pinnacle контентом,
we've
факт.
adjusted the drop rate of Valdo's puzzle boxes. Previously, we were adapting its drop rate based on the possible outcomes selected by supporters. So many supporters really wanted Mage Bloods, so the box was hardly dropping. Thus, we have drastically increased the drop rate of the box, but reduced the probability of getting chase unique items from it, like Mage Blood. Overall, we have taken care not to reduce the number of Mage Bloods total in the economy. We figured it was better to have more tickets for fun rather than barely seeing
Сундуки.
any boxes in a league.
Ладно.
We've been
Боксы теперь
hard at
можно
work
найти.
improving the Path of Exile experience on consoles. With native ports for the Xbox Series consoles already being released, and PS5 on the near horizon, the game now takes full advantage of the console hardware. Loading times have been reduced even further, pop-in has been reduced, and textures won't start unloading in heavy scenes. Furthermore, overall visual fidelity has been improved for all new generation consoles.
Кому не похуй на консоли,
Now
сори.
uses the highest available resolution textures and water effects. We've installed a new upscaling algorithm that improves the crispness of dynamic resolution, with an additional anti-aliasing pass on top of that.
ГЦ консольщиков,
We also
короче.
support variable refresh rate TVs and monitors on PlayStation 5 and on all Xbox consoles.
Да-да-да, молодцы,
In the
рады
options, players can
консольщиков.
now choose which aspect of visual fidelity they want to focus on: resolution, image quality, or target frame rate. In 3.24, we added some new encounters and secrets to the campaign. In Settlers of Kalgur, we're adding even more. We're not going to spoil them all here.
Блин, в этой компании всякие мелкие
Keep an eye out for
фишки очень
anything
прикольно.
unfamiliar on your adventures.
Да, обязательно.
Who knows what you'll find? I mean, I know, but still. There's an underground bunker underneath the refinery, guarded by powerful robots. I wonder what's been hidden away
Крафт
here.
рецепт.
How do I unlock this mysterious door? What riches must lay inside? Blighted growths have appeared in the gardens and sewers of San.
Да, пофигу.
A vault containing riches can be found in the reliquary. As you might have
Прикольно.
seen in our teasers, there's a slew of quality of life features we've been working on. Here's a quick summary. You'll no longer need to interact with waypoints to unlock them. You can just walk by and they'll activate automatically.
Это
When
приятно.
using keyboard and mouse, you'll be able to pick up items from further away.
Ну, это уже,
We're
понял,
adding
все
static
анонсили.
life bars to some bosses.
Это уже
Not
анонсили,
all bosses will
поэтому...
have them just yet, but we'll be adding more over time.
Это все в поедовой
Now
механике,
see
на
which
самом деле.
divination cards drop in each map by hovering over them on your atlas. When you die, you can now resurrect without having to reactivate all your reservation effects, like auras and heralds. You can start harvest encounters with just a single action.
Ну, слава богу.
The amount of quality provided by currency items like whetstones is now based on the item level, rather than item rarity. Those currencies now apply a 20% quality to very low-level items, with that amount reducing
Прикольно.
as the item level increases.
Учитывая, как они теперь мультипликируют, то это логично, на
Next
самом
up,
деле.
we're going to
Показывайте,
talk
показывайте,
about
на что я
our
должен
new
потратить
league
деньги.
support.
Вы мне уже продали лигу. Сколько
Today,
денег я вам
we're
занесу?
launching two new series of supporter packs, the Paladin and Penance packs.
Паладин и Пенанс.
Each
Окей.
tier contains the pack's full face value in points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions.
Показывайте.
These packs are only available for the duration of the Settlers of Kalgur League and will leave the store forever when it ends. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Paladin series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions.
Ну, прикольно, но такое...
Adorn
Ну и
your
уродство.
weapon or shield with the Paladin weapon effect. Make a show of leveling up with the Harpy flyover level up effect.
Хуета.
Equipping the Divine Paladin armor set will periodically cause slain enemies to be consecrated and laid to rest. This set also comes with a matching back attachment. Both the helmet and back attachment have
Yeah, full
options to
хуета.
display the radiant glow, or not. You pick.
Не, фул хуета какая-то.
The Divine Judgment finisher effect locks onto unique enemies before obliterating them with a laser from the
Очередной
heavens.
финишер, пофигу.
May your critical hits resonate across
Серьезно?
Raycast with the Cleric's Bell back attachment. Invite your friends to spend a day at the races.
Ну, это забавно,
in the
но не
Vastiri
более
racecourse
того.
hideout.
Типа...
Add rowers to the track to race them against each other. Or
Ну,
you
это
can
мем
just spectate
скорее.
from the sidelines.
Забавно, но не более
The
того.
Penance Pack series also has 6 exclusive microtransactions.
Так, тут что?
With the Penance back attachment equipped, a repentant soul is chained to your back and lashed with lightning. Ouch.
Забавно.
Place none other than the Trial Master in your hideout and have him comment on your chaos
A classic, but far fairer now than in ancient times.
and Val crafting attempts.
Your luck is over.
Ну, забавно, но
He
опять
even keeps a
же.
record of how many Chaos and Val orbs you've used in your hideout during the
Meh.
league or across all leagues.
Мeh.
Blood stains your armor the more life you lose when wearing the
Это
Acolyte's
похоже
Penance
на
armor
эту,
set.
на железную деву, как будто надели на героя.
The Zealot's Madness portal effect fragments as you near it.
Портал кайфовый, как всегда, на портал у них часто красивый
The
выходит.
Cauldron map device boils maps, fragments, and scarabs placed into it, keeping a tally of how many have been thrown into the pot in the current league or across all leagues.
Ну, опять забавный мап-девайс, но мне мой с таймером нравится больше.
The exiled squire pets follow in your footsteps, hyping you up for battles,
No sweat for you, boss.
providing pessimistic
А чё он
commentary,
выглядит как кусок говна? Можно его приодеть хотя бы? Типа забавно, но...
voicing their disdain for you to bring you down a peg.
About time you kicked the bucket.
Бомж какой-то с тобой бегает
These packs
просто.
are now available for purchase on both PC and console, and will remain so during Path of Exile, Settlers of Kalgur.
Чё-то оба пока отстой.
Meanwhile, the Solar and Eldritch packs leave the store forever at the launch of Settlers of Kalgur League. So now's your last chance to purchase them. Thank you so much for your ongoing support.
Ну,
Now, we
слабые
have one more
паки.
thing to
Ну и
announce
ладно.
before getting into the Q&A.
Так.
We are soon going to be running a small closed beta test for Path of Exile 2.
Хочу.
We have been taking signups for the Path of Exile 2 beta tests over at pathofexile2.com. We will only be selecting a very limited number of people for this first test, but if you want to make sure that you are considered, then head over to the website and register your email address now.
Я, по-моему, регался уже на
We're just
этот...
about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, we'll post Path of Exile Settlers of Kalgur's full patch notes.
Почнут и потом
With
будут,
release at the
понятно.
end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for Settlers of Kalgur's release. Keep an eye on the news.
Сайт
On
упал,
release
понятно.
weekend, we expect to launch the new mystery
Yes,
box
сайт сдох.
and this season's Kerax Vault Pass. Thanks for joining us
Okay.
today and checking out our latest developments. We're looking forward to building our towns alongside you, trying new builds, slaying monsters, and exploring new in-game strategies next week.
Так,
We'll
вот
begin
это
the Q&A
мы
shortly,
добавляем.
so please get your questions ready.
Это нам надо. Но Q&A уже никому не интересно, это понятно. Пересматривать там особо нечего. Очень дохера всего. Очень хочу поиграть за милишника. Очень жду. Будем посмотреть. Выглядит супер круто. Я супер жду. Увидимся, видимо, на релизе. Ни хера, скорее всего, вам не понятно. Это не важно. Я очень воодушевлен. Я очень хочу это поиграть. А вам всем хорошего вечера. Пока-пока.